Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Justin.
What are we doing today?
Today we're doing something a little bit new, a little bit different. We're going to compare and contrast two board games. And what we'll do is we'll put up a whole bunch of links all over the place.
Yikes, they scared me.
I know, it's crazy.
There's like 6 of them.
They can't even see us anymore. So we're going to have links to the overviews, the playthroughs, and the reviews for Robinson Crusoe
and Castaways.
That's right. And in this video, we're just going to compare and contrast them both.
Right.
There, that's better. Okay. So, why don't you tell us all about how these two games are similar?
Well, the very first thing that is very similar is that it's a board game that plays 1 to 4 players.
Yep.
Both board games will take you about 120 minutes, and they're both recommended for ages 14 and up.
It's true.
They are both board games that deal with the same theme.
Yep.
Being stranded on a deserted island and trying to survive and escape your doom.
There you go. Yep.
And also, another similarity is some of the mechanics. They both feature mechanics where you place all your pawns first, and then after that you'll take all your actions.
Yep. So it's kind of like there's one phase of planning and one phase of doing stuff, actions. Yep. Yeah. And the mechanics themselves, like both of them, just about everything you do mechanics-wise feels thematic. So that blend there for both of them.
Right. The mechanics do both lend themselves well to the theme in both games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what we got for the similarities, which is one of the reasons why we decided to do this, because a lot of people kind of ask, if I'm going to get a co-op game
about being stranded on a deserted island, which game should I get?
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question.
And we're here to help you answer it for yourself.
Right. We are not here to help you, to tell you what is better.
That's right.
We're here to help you decide what's better for you.
That's right.
Right.
All right. So there are some slight differences, and then there are also some very drastic differences between the two board games.
Right.
So some of the slight differences. Do you want to do the first one?
Sure.
Okay.
Both games are co-op.
Yes.
Although it's a slight difference because Castaways is a semi-co-op.
Yes.
So there's a chance in Robinson Crusoe, you either all win or you all lose.
Yep.
If one person has a terrible fate, you all lose the game.
Yes.
In Castaways, the same thing is true. If someone doesn't make it, you all lose.
Yes.
But if you make it
off the island, yeah.
Right, and you satisfy the win conditions, y'all just don't win. There's also points. So there is one solitary victor as well.
Yeah. And it's semi-co-op, and a lot of the time it doesn't really feel semi-co-op. It's not strongly in there.
No, well, it's because it's very difficult to survive. You need all hands on deck.
Yeah.
To just get, out of this situation.
Yeah, it's supposed to... In Castaways, there's supposed to be this, like, gripping moments where it's like, oh, my fellow castaway needs medicine, and I have the medicine, and it can save her. But medicine's worth, like, 5 or 6 points at the end of the game. Do I give it to her or not?
Yeah.
And really, at no point when I'm playing Castaways do I ever think, I'm not going to give it to her because I want the points.
Well, that runs the risk of losing the whole game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's one of the slight differences.
Right.
Yep.
What's another one?
Other one. They're both very difficult to win. However, if you're not taking the semi-cooperative nature of Castaways seriously, it makes it easier to win. And Robinson Crusoe is more difficult, more unforgiving, more brutal, more kick you when you're down. The difficulty increases and ramps up throughout the game, so the further you get along the game, the more and more harder it is to do anything.
Yeah, the further you get behind, it's like exponential.
And with Castaways, when you're down, there is a chance of some good things happening, even though they're minimal.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, there is a chance that the game isn't going to give you a kick and let you recover.
Yeah.
Whereas Robinson Crusoe, it just beats on you over
Yeah, it's
and
just
over and over and over.
one thing after another.
Yeah. So they're both difficult, but in different ways. I would say Robinson Crusoe is a whole lot more difficult. Ton more difficult.
Yeah.
So that is a difference.
Right.
Yep.
So another similarity difference / combo is that in both games you get 2 pawns.
Yes.
Whereas in Castaways you get to use your 2 pawns every time, unless some cards kind of say, oh, blah blah blah, you only get 1 pawn this turn.
Yeah.
But in Robinson Crusoe, you have a choice to use 1 pawn to do one thing and another pawn to do something, but then you have to roll the dice, and then it's random if you even succeed.
Yeah.
And then you might lose a heart, and then you might have to go on a mission, and then you might die.
Yeah.
So it's a choice between, do I use both of my pawns to succeed and get less actions per round?
Yeah.
Or do I take that chance and have to go to the randomness and see what fate is in store for me if I decide to go searching for food this time?
Yeah.
Or, exploring for a new tile.
Yeah. So Castaways, 2 actions. All you need is the energy to succeed. Robinson Crusoe, 2 risky actions or 1
for
guaranteed
sure.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a difference.
It's a hard choice. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So both games, Castaways and Robinson Crusoe, are complex games with lots of rules because they're both trying to encompass this pretty big experience.
Right.
Yeah. So in order for you to be able to explore all the different situations that might come out of surviving a deserted island, there have to be lots of rules. So they both have that.
Right.
They're also very fiddly in the rules because there's lots of interactions between cards and events and dice and tokens and all that. So for both of them, you're going to run into situations all the time. We're going to have to look up a rule here or check an FAQ there. That being said, the difference is Robinson Crusoe adds a lot of layers of things that you need to constantly be aware of. So there are things that you need to be aware of in Castaways and constantly, like, we need wood, we need food, are we going to die, am I going to get energy back? But on top of all that survival stuff, Robinson Crusoe adds a morale track. Just are we down in the dumps and how's that going to affect us? Because it can and will. It also adds determination tokens.
So if your morale check is down, you need to have determination tokens in your supply.
Yeah.
To give up
or take wounds.
Yeah.
Because apparently you just give up and start hurting yourself. And if you want to use any of the special abilities of your characters in Robinson Crusoe, you need those determination tokens just to do it. Otherwise, your special abilities are useless.
Right.
So there's a lot of layers of complexity on top in Robinson Crusoe.
Right.
And then with the setup and how to play, this has scenarios and this one doesn't. So just starting the game and how that game is going to play is going to change depending on the scenarios.
Right.
Yeah. So another slight difference is
they both have the daily events.
Yep.
Every day at the start of the day you flip a card and your daily event happens. But then again, Robinson Crusoe carries that one step further because you put them on the board and then the next one the next day pushes the other one down.
Yeah.
So you're still going to have events that you have to deal with for 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And sometimes really bad things can happen to you.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother thing you have to spend your pawns on.
Yeah.
Is dealing with these event cards that get tided over each round and each round.
Yeah. And if you just let them slide by, they do horrible things to you.
Sometimes nothing happens, but most of the time it's not nice things to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, even though the ones where nothing happens, if you don't spend your pawns to do the good thing, you're giving up something really, really good.
Right. Or the bad thing already happened to you when you flipped over the card.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a slight difference. They both have events, and both of them, the events can be altered by other things that happen in the game. So things can get shuffled in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Robinson Crusoe, they carry over.
Right.
Good.
On to the differences.
Yes, this is how these games are drastically different. A lot of people talk about how board games can tell a story. And there's actually 2 different ways that can happen. In one way, a board game can actually tell you directly a story, and that's Castaways. Castaways has this very interesting deck of story triggers, and you shuffle them. There's like 20.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
Something
many.
like that.
There's a bunch.
Yeah. But you only shuffle 8 of them into the decks. And so one will come up when you're exploring, and a lot of ways it's like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it'll start a story for you.
Yeah. And you have a choice, do this or do this. If you do this, put this card into the deck, and if you do that, put that card into the deck. But it's directly telling you a story. You read text out, and it's like reading a book.
Right.
The other way that a board game can kind of become a storytelling game is by giving you a framework of a whole bunch of really interesting situations and events and scenarios, and your own story comes out of that.
Yeah, through your own imagination, you link those events to tell your own story.
Yeah. Like something happens, you're like, wow, what happened there? And then your imagination goes off, and you're like, oh, well, this is why that happened.
Right.
And Robinson Crusoe has that. It gives you the startup of a really good story with the different scenarios, but you're pretty much telling your own story by doing the different things. And there is some flavor text that does tell you a little bit of story, but most of it is that kind of framework, sort of sandboxy type game that your own story kind of comes out. Yeah, sort of, but not.
Yeah,
not
it's
totally.
not a sandbox game.
No.
No, not at all.
No.
Just the story part.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how they are drastically different. And I've watched reviews on both of them where both of them are told, oh, this is a great storytelling game. It's true. They're both great storytelling games, but in very different ways.
Right.
Yeah. Good. Another way that they are totally different, and I've already kind of mentioned this, is that Robinson Crusoe has 6 scenarios, which means depending on the scenario you're playing, you're going to have a very different game. Castaways starts off...
You already mentioned about, you
Yep.
put the 8 cards in,
Yeah.
and then it tells a different story each time.
Yeah. It starts off the exact same way every single time. So the story begins, like the setup and how this game begins is completely the same. But as soon as you start to explore the island, those triggers come out, and those are going to be different. And then how you deal with those triggers is going to lead you down different paths of each kind of trigger storyline.
And it makes the game different each time.
Yeah. So starts off the same and then branches into drastically different stories. This is going to start different depending on which of the scenarios you do.
Right.
So that's another way they're really different. Finally, another way that they're different, and we've touched on this before, and it's just in the randomness. There is randomness in Castaways. What cards are going to come up when you're exploring the islands, what events are going to come up, and how's that going to affect you, and even what items are you going to get when you salvage. So there is randomness. However, Robinson Crusoe is drastically different.
Random. Yeah.
Drastically more random. If you want to be able to do all the actions possible, and Robinson Crusoe has so many things that you have to take care of with your actions, that you're going to have to be rolling those action dice a lot. So that's going to be random. Is it successful? Is it not?
Do you take wounds or do you not?
Yeah. Are you going to go on an adventure
or not?
And if you go on an adventure, and most of the times you'll go on an adventure if you roll that die, there's that whole stack of cards that's going to be random when it comes up. Yep. So just the randomness of Robinson Crusoe far exceeds the randomness in Castaways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I feel like has a really strong impact on just how strategic and tactical you can play these two games. Robinson Crusoe, you're trying to do everything, you can't do everything, and it kicks you because of it.
Yeah, you're just flying by the seat of your pants in that one.
Yeah. Castaways, if you get off to a rough start, there's a chance you can recover and maybe win. Or if you have a good start, there's a chance where it can bring you down.
Yeah.
But even then, you can still maybe eke out a win somehow if you're lucky.
Or you can get close anyway.
Yeah.
You feel like you have some hope.
Yes.
With Castaways.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't feel like you have any hope at all in Robinson Crusoe.
No. everything has to come up like
flowers and unicorns
Yeah.
and rainbows and butterflies.
yeah, consistently, or else you're just gonna lose. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, kind of on the coattails of that, when I'm playing Castaways and we got a couple of rounds left, and we have not been able to do anything.
Yes.
We don't have any of the items to get off the island.
We
We're
couldn't-
not anywhere close to
The
getting
help
to the
sign.
headland. And we haven't started any of those things. I find going through the motions of, oh, I got that card, and choosing card number this to put in, I find that really frustrating, because at that point I know we're not going to win. And
Yeah, why do all the go through all the
Yeah.
motions if we already know it's a foregone conclusion we've lost the game?
Yeah. Because at the end of the game, you got to rip all those cards apart and put them back in order and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Well, not rip them apart, but you know, take them out.
Take the decks
reorganize
apart.
the decks, yeah.
Yeah.
So, at the same time where this one has a little bit more hope than Robinson Crusoe, you can get to the point where you feel hopeless in Castaways.
Right.
So I guess that's actually a similarity. But this one definitely is much more...
Unforgiving.
Yeah, unforgiving. Yeah. So, you can look at the 2 reviews of each game separately, and we really tried to review them without thinking of the other one. This was where we kind of brought our thoughts together on both.
Right.
But that's how the 2 are different. So if you're looking for a co-op game that simulates the stranded on a deserted island, and you're not sure which one to get, hopefully those are kind of how they're same and different, and you can figure out which one you'd rather like.
Right.
Yep. Anything else?
Well, should we say which one we'd rather play?
Sure. Which one's that?
It depends on the type of game that you want to play.
Yeah.
Like, I think for Robinson Crusoe, and we mentioned it in the review, you have to invest a lot of time to get good at the game.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of time.
And you have to not mind losing and being kicked down over and over and over again. And I can imagine getting that win in after 20 games and going, finally we won!
Right.
And how amazing that would feel. But we've never been there. And I have no interest in doing that.
And for me, it's sad to say, but the more I play Robinson Crusoe, the less fun I have playing it.
Yeah.
So for me to actually sit down and put the time in and play those 20 or 30 games it's going to take me to win,
Yeah.
I can't do it. There's other games that need to be played.
Yeah.
And one of them, I guess, would be Castaways, because it's still standing.
Yeah, with Castaways, I mean, we've lost, we've won, and we've enjoyed both of them, losing and winning. And so, yeah.
I mean, I still get frustrated losing,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like the game just did 10 rounds and I've got 2 black eyes
Yeah.
when I play Castaways.
So for us, we would enjoy playing Castaways much more than Robinson Crusoe.
But like we said, we're not here to tell you which one to pick. We
No.
just wanted to help you make a more informed decision.
That's right.
And at the end of the review, yeah, we might tell you which one we like
Which
better.
one we like better, yeah.
Just for sake of inquiring minds may like to know.
There we go. So that is our comparison and contrast of Castaways and Robinson Crusoe. And again, we'll flood the screen with links if you want to go check out all of our other videos about these 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, I think.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Laters.
What are we doing today?
Today we're going to try something a little bit new, a little bit different. We're going to do an epic board game battle.
That's weird. It's not funny.
They should be rapping right now.
I don't get it.
Let's move on.
We're too tired for that.
You laughed at that one. Yeah, that probably didn't work at all.
No.
I didn't even do it right.
No.
Let's just scrap that.